What's up, everybody? I just finished another Shivers book. This is Night of the Goat Boy, number 23 in the series. And right off the bat, I really love this cover. This is absolutely amazing. I love the bloody fangs, the red eyes, the bloody horns, and the moon really brings everything together. It's awesome. And props to the cover artist because there's a scene describing this goat, and he looks like identical to what I pictured. The story starts off with this kid named Nathaniel. He is really wanting to go to this camp called Camp Spotlight. And Nathaniel is into like theater and acting and different things like that. And this camp is supposed to teach you how to do it a little bit better. He overhears his parents talking about this camp, and they actually went here 30 years ago. And they talk about like how like he's eavesdropping, listening to them. And they talk about how maybe it's changed by now. Maybe it's better. Maybe it's not as bad as it was. And they eventually let him go, which is a red flag because it's like, if you don't think your kid's safe to go here, why would they? Why would you go? I mean, I wouldn't let my kids go. That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, this is a '90s Goosebumps knockoff book series. Whatever. So they get to this camp, and we're introduced to all three of his bunkmates, which is Jaquez, Chris, and there's another kid. I can't remember his name. And there's a camp leader guy that's like a coach, and his name is Mr. Dingle. And they get around this campfire. They start telling ghost stories. And the first story Mr. Dingle tells, and none of the kids really react to it. They think it's really dumb. When Mr. Dingle leaves to go do something, two kids kind of take over, and they're like teenagers. And their names are Austin and Andrew. And they tell the story of Goat Boy. And the Goat Boy story is really dark and really cool. And that's literally the best part of the book, is actually the legend feel of this Goat Boy. Basically, what the Goat Boy story is there's this kid that lives on a farm down the road from the camp, and he takes care of goats and chickens and different things like that. And he smells really bad, because apparently goats smell really bad. My friends have goats, and I haven't noticed that they stink or anything, but maybe they do, and I just don't notice. I'm not sure. But yeah, he stinks and different things like that. And his dad won't let him go to this camp because he can't afford it. So he always goes to like the wood line and kind of spies on all the campers and stuff. And eventually he starts getting bullied, and the other campers start picking on him and just making a big deal about him and all that cool stuff. And so one night, this kid, and the Goat Boy's name is Kenny, by the way, he gets mad, and there's a bonfire that's almost put out but not quite. So he takes like a stick and he lights a tent on fire with kids inside it. And I thought, when I read that, I was like, okay, this is cool because it's very violent. Like, that's pretty rough. Like, the thing in room 601 had like a scene where they described how someone died in there, and it was pretty dark too. Weirdo Waller's Wax Museum had a very big reveal kind of at the end that really stuck with me. So this is the third in a row that have like a really cool dark premise like part in the story. It doesn't take long after they tell the story for these kids to start believing that Goat Boy is real. The two kids that tell the story, the teenagers, the mean ones, they pull a prank by start sounding like a goat in the woods and stuff like that. And the kids think that it's either them or the Goat Boy. And he starts getting like letters, like in his... Well, he gets one letter. It's a letter in his sleeping bag. And it says, Kenny's back, like, I'm coming for supper, or something like that. He starts hearing goat noises outside. He smells something really bad. There's a scene where he gets trapped in his sleeping bag and like starts getting hit and stuff. And when you find out the reveal, that's kind of messed up. But yeah, there's also a scene where a spotlight falls from like in where they have like the improv thing, and it falls and almost lands on Nathaniel. So long story short, it's a matter of either is this Austin and Andrew doing this, or is Goat Boy real? And that's really all I'm going to leave it, because if you do decide to read this, I think you're going to be disappointed, in my opinion. I was intrigued till about the last maybe 5 chapters, and they were really bad. And then um, the very last chapter kind of made up for a little bit, but it didn't save the book. Like, the last chapter should have been what the book was about, and it wasn't. Um, Kind of a false advertisement, in my opinion. But yeah, it wasn't my favorite. This is easily the weakest Shivers book I've read. Again, this is only 3 books that I've read, so this is the weakest one I've read so far. Um, but it's still okay. Um, I did like, there's a scene in this book that kind of really stuck with me, being an introvert like myself. He talks about like how he's scared of the goat boy and he's running and stuff. But there's this girl that he notices named Jillian, and he like says something like he wants to talk to her and stuff. But he says he gets the same kind of feeling as when he's running from Goat Boy, and I thought that was so clever, because it's anybody has trouble talking to people in general, not even just girls, just talking to people in general. That's literally how us anxiety people are. So yeah, this book was not great, but that part really stuck with me. And there's a couple of scenes that was kind of creepy. There's a farmer that they go and explore, and he's a little weird. He invites his kid inside to look through and see, like, it's like, there's no goat boy here. Go inside and look. And yeah, it's kind of weird. Back then, I guess it was kind of different for grown-ups mainly grown-ups that you knew. I mean, I know that where I lived at, there was like grown-ups that lived down the road from our house that me and my friends would go hang out with. They were a lot older than us. But back then, we all like lived in this little neighborhood, and we all knew each other. This is different, of course. So yeah, there's a lot of questionable things in these books. But yeah, Night of the Goat Boy, I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. Um, it was it was bad, but it was still a little intriguing. Like, I still wanted to know what happened. The pacing was way off. The last 2 books that I read, they flowed so easily. The chapters were so short and choppy. And I'll mention this real quick too. The thing in Room 601, um, I got mentioned that the story wasn't very good because nothing really happens till the end, and that's true. But the story felt so short. Like, it felt like I just read like a short novella, like maybe a 30-page book. Like, there's not a lot that happens until the end, but it was still good. Like, I still liked it. This one, however, it felt like I read 127 pages because there's a lot of padding. Um, there's a lot of like the theater stuff, which isn't like written in great detail, and you can tell this guy wasn't the best writer. I mean, he does have some good scenes and stuff, but it's nothing compared to R.L. Stine. R.L. Stine like takes his time, and you can like literally feel yourself being in these places. This here was just kind of, you know, very amateurish writing, and that, whatever. He sold some books. So, and I think that's all he was wanting to do. But yeah, Night of the Goat Boy, I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. Did you guys read this book? If you have, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, I'll be reading some more soon, so stay tuned. Bye-bye.